It's 5 o'clock and you don't know where you've been today. I could ask you what, but that won't show me what's in your head. You're chasing rainbows you never thought you'd see. You'll be chasing rainbows you never see.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Psych here, hitting you back once again this week with some online finds. And I think I got 2 or 3 from the record shop about a couple weeks ago now. And one of these I'm kind of throwing a curveball at you guys because it's sort of unmarked territory for me. Of course, I've listened to this band and this style of music over the years, but I felt kind of awkward checking this one out because it's just like, you know, I'm kind of known as the Psych dude in this shop, and I probably surprised the dude at the shop, you know, given what my interests were. But I said, I kind of remember liking this one, so just bear with me, okay? It's a shocker. It's a real shocker. I've never been so pumped to share these online finds in a long time till today, because pretty much all of these, I would say, yeah, all 4 of these are ones that I've been wanting probably the past year or so. I've been really trying to find copies, and somehow I refreshed the page right on the spot and picked them up before anyone else snatched them. So these are quite some good deals here. I'm really happy with the outcome. So, and it didn't have to cost too much out of pocket, so that's always a plus. This one though was out of pocket because it was so cheap. So if you guys remember me sharing the Motions Electric Baby a while back, I found it in Omaha. I did already flip that because it wasn't going to stick around. I thought it was going to be a lot better than it was. There's like maybe two or 3 tracks salvageable, you know. Didn't really latch on very much. I thought, I'm not going to play this one again. However, I did know about this record, and I just happened to be searching it one night because I was kind of still trying to listen to the band a little more, and this is one I've known about for a while, but I just said, well, let's look it up, and I found a $15 copy of Canadian pressing of their previous, I think it's the previous album, Impressions of Wonderful. And just look at that cover. I mean, it certainly stands out as a psychedelic iconic cover, or at least it should. This is one I've known about for years, and I hadn't heard it in a while, but I remember it being very good, and it is. Got a great deal on this simply because it has like I think it's like a moisture mark or a sort of a burn mark on the very edge of the record, but it plays through. I mean, you hear a little bit of swooshing on like the first track, but otherwise the rest of it plays VG+. But this is a Netherlands band, and it's basically Netterbeat mixed with pop psych, and this one really works. It's got some great standout tracks. Reminds me a lot of like the Hollies during their psych period, you know, 66, 67 era. Big highlights for me: Green Chewing Gum Machine, Make It Legal, and Red Balloons. Last 2 closing tracks are actually the bigger standouts as well. Some nice light psych effects thrown about, and sounds very English inspired, but they were from the Netherlands. So there's a little bit of that beatnik sort of sound moving throughout this, but the quality of the music really makes your time worth checking this out. So it's a Canadian pressing on the Nagram label. Like I said, kind of gets slept on too. It's quite overlooked for being a, you know, Summer of Love LP. I think this did come out in '67. So, I mean, this one follows suit right up there with, you know, the Hollies Butterfly album and Evolution, I would say. Very much in that zone. Whew. Finally crossed this bad boy off. So, I'm going to hit you with an original copy here I picked up that was one of the very last titles on the mainstream label that I needed. to acquire yet. This one and Art of Lovin' are the last two, I believe. This is the Tiffany shade. I shared this one in my mainstream top 10. I forget where I placed it. Maybe I can't remember, but probably in the middle somewhere. I really do like this record a lot. These guys were based out of Cleveland, Ohio, and just look at that cover art. I mean, that just, again, really stands out as a kind of iconic sleeve, you know, with the Tiffany shade lampshade. And this is one I picked up pretty reasonable as well. Picked this up from a Canadian seller, and it was still below, you know, the going rate, which is now, you know, at least $100 in clean shade. And I got this, you know, pretty well under that, even with shipping included. So really got lucky on this deal. And I've been really scouting this one out on eBay too, and there was always like water damaged copies popping up, and I wanted a really nice sleeve. I would say this one's kind of very much in the pop psych realm, but they kind of have this sort of straightforward, kind of linear garage edge about them that kind of carries out, and a lot of the tracks are sort of upbeat. An Older Man, which is the single off here, is probably their most garage track. Opens up really well. The first two tracks, Would You Take My Mind Out for a Walk? I mean, it's a crazy title. And the thing about this band too, their sound, it's got a lot of electric piano moving throughout with the Ace Tone organ. And they also do a version of Softly to Me, which was a love track. Except the funny thing is on the back here, it's called Come Softly to Me, which was a song by the Fleetwoods back in the early 60s, I think. So it's kind of funny. And they actually had they had the wrong credits on the back for that song. So yeah, overall pretty strong. You know, very vocal harmony inspired pop psych. They only recorded this in like 2 days, so you know the production was kind of rushed, but you can definitely tell by a couple of the tracks. But pretty solid overall for any Psych fans. Wouldn't say essential maybe, but for the right person. They do have a unique sound. Kind of reminds me of like the Baroques on the Chess label, if they were a little less eccentric. And then this is a fan favorite, or was a fan favorite on Dead Wax 66's live streams. I think like 3 people picked this up one evening just because we were all vibing on this record, and it seemed like after that it was kind of tough to acquire until finally a copy popped up. And you better believe I stepped up to it. This is Stony and the Jagged Edge with their album Chasing Rainbows. This got recorded in 1968, and this is highly recommended. If you guys are into like that hard-edged Hendrix and Cream-based fuzz psych, this is like tops. All throughout, I mean, there's not a weak track on here for me. Even though the songs are not necessarily that well written, you know, just the fact how they deliver these tracks out is just very much how they sounded live as well. With all these concerts that they did, you know, up around Detroit area, you know, touring with like MC5 and during like the Psychedelic Stooges era. And even the lead singer, Stoney himself, was sort of like a pioneering stage performer even before Iggy, you know. It was reportedly, you know, said by the singer or someone of the band. But yeah, they were doing tons of like acid, and you know, everybody was back then, of course, but I mean, you can even tell these kids were like strung out. And the whole delivery here is just a lot of fuzz wah pedal action going on, and a very deep, soulful delivery by Stoney himself. And a lot of these tracks just get really carried out in this really crunchy, hard psych sort of vibe. That's what I'm all about, and I love this sound. So highly recommend it if you can pick a copy up. Doesn't seem like they're popping up too much anymore. I think they limited this to maybe 300 or 500 copies. Talks about their story here in the liner notes. And unfortunately, I mean, some people like colored vinyl. I'm not huge on it. I think it kind of alters the sound sometimes, but you couldn't really tell with this copy. It's a nice marijuana green, sort of semi-splatter vinyl. And I would say the track to check out from here first is perhaps Chasing Rainbows. That was also the only track that was properly mixed on this, since it was originally on a sort of a warped tape reel that was sitting for like 40 plus years. Finally resurfaced and got this released, you know. So glad it did, because this is a nice piece of history considering like what bands in Detroit and Motor City were doing at that time. So yeah, check it out. The full album is online, so I won't speak on that much longer. Try to get this video going here, but you can tell I'm ecstatic for it. I just absolutely love that style. Again, another heavy hitter here. So this is one that I've been holding out for an LHI labeled copy for the longest time on that Lee Hazelwood record label, and hasn't been popping up. I have it still on my want list, but I figured, you know, if a reissue is going to happen, it's going to happen, because it seems to be pretty obscure even for a semi-major label. And whew, got this Psych Essential. I think this is essential for any Psych collection. This is Mind Odyssey by The Aggregation. This came out in '69. I always thought it was '67, you know, due to its sound and style, but it came out a little later, '69, and to me, this is one that really grows on you over time, and it's well rewarding. After giving this, you know, nice few patient listens, this one really kicks in, and it's again one of those concept records where it's taking the amusement park, the one admission for your mind, sort of like cosmic concept going on. And this is a reissue on Sweet, what is it, Sweet Dandelion? I think this is how it originally looked too. And these kids were based out of like the LA area, but they would always have like playing these gigs at Disneyland amusement park, which maybe inspired the whole trip itself. The consistency on this record is amazing. Like, they just like precisely written everything out just almost perfectly, and it's almost irritating that it's so perfect. It just really works, and I guess the style for this is kind of more a mixture of like jazz pop, but in a good way. I mean, there's a lot of like brass and flute instrumentation, woodwind instruments throughout, but they really sink in after a while with the whole concept here, and very psych pop. Some rock instrumentation going on. You can tell these guys were influenced by other LA bands at the time, the David and the Doors. You know, kind of. There's a couple tracks on here that sound very much like the Doors. So, highly recommend this one if you can get your hands on a copy. Even the reissue seems pretty sought after. So, sound quality is very good though. So, I was very thankful for that. My favorite track on here is probably Flying Free. The whole way it's arranged, the kind of dark moodiness about it, from beginning to end, is just quite a song. Reflections, another kind of groovy track going on. Nice organ on there, nice harmonies. Yeah, it's just like taking a trip at the circus, and these guys are leading the show, but the fact it's all in your mind, you know, kind of with that whole concept, super good. Okay, and then these are ones that I picked up at the record shop. I must have overlooked this one in the shop when I was looking, you know, in just as alphabetical pile. I don't know how I skipped out on this one. This is SRC, Milestones. And this is a fairly affordable record compared to their debut, obviously. This one's still pretty much in the similar vein. I would say it's more commercial oriented. There's definitely some songs that could have had some commercial viability to them. but still pretty much very Psych flavored, kind of more of a hard rock sound pushing through, but very different compared to the debut. But I still say this is quite up to par. It's still a very good follow-up, really, and like I said, it's still affordable. I got this for $9. Still got very much that Gary Quackenbush guitar tone that was very, very much the signature sound for these guys. Not as much organ. I think there's more piano-driven cuts, but it's still very much the SRC sound. Again, another Detroit piece that I acquired, and this is one that I spotted at the shop one other time, and I went back home, listened to it a little bit. Couldn't really remember what it sounds like. I haven't even spun this yet, actually, but I remember liking it. And this is the Still Roving. This is a Sundazed copy. I think it's like a compilation. Cast Thy Burden Upon, the Still Roving. This features Michael O'Gara, who I've shared that record maybe a few months back. He started out in this group. Kind of a mostly garage band. It's on orange vinyl. Who cares? Anyways, they do I'm Not Your Stepping Stone, Hey Joe, pretty much garage staples right there, but I do remember like in the middle portion of the record it was pretty good, so I'll have to return to this one, but again, this was pretty cheap as well, and it was still sealed when I bought it. Looking forward to it. And then, this is the curveball I'm throwing at you guys. So how do I say this? I do like some dream pop, shoegaze. I only have one shoegaze record, and that is Slow Dive. I do like Slow Dive. It's just, one of those genres, once you get into the Psych rabbit hole, it's hard to escape, and I know sometimes I just have to hear certain pieces of music on a random YouTube recommendation, or hear songs through film, and this is one of those cases where I heard a song a long time ago when I first saw this flick, Donnie Darko. Kind of got me inspired to listen to a lot of like 80s music again. And this is The Church, Starfish. I know, it's commercial music that I'm laying out towards you guys. Might push people away, but anyways, I'm being silly, but yeah, I've only listened to this maybe twice. I haven't listened to it on vinyl yet, but in the past I remember really liking this record, for its kind of, it's got kind of this post-punkiness about it, very late night, dream pop, jangly pop sort of stuff going on, but Under the Milky Way is just one of those tracks that takes you away. Really inspired me to pick this up just for that track alone, and so yeah, just getting to some new territory here with The Church. Who knows if it'll last? I hope it will, but we shall see. And I can't tell if this is a reissue or not. I mean, it kind of, the texture of the sleeve makes me want to think it is, but everything from the label and everything else, is it original? I don't know. Not real sure. I haven't looked it up yet, but yeah, kind of branching out a little bit. Just figured I'd help the guy out with the shop, and we'll see what happens. It was a long day at work, and just kind of felt like I had to push a video out here today. So hope you guys are doing well. Check out these records I shared. Really happy I got those first 4 finally picked up, and Tiffany Shade's been such a long want for me. Anyways, that's all I got, and I think I only have one record coming in the mail, and that's also a kind of a blind buy. Haven't found too many tunes online to listen to give it any samples, but from the reviews it sounds promising, so take care, and we shall see you soon.